Chapter 7. In Dorian's Old Study. The next morning, Basil visited Dorian. "I was very sad to hear about Sybil," Basil said to Dorian. "It's a great tragedy for you and her family. How is Sybil's mother?" "Sybil's mother?" Dorian said, surprised. "I don't know. I went to the theatre with Henry yesterday evening, so I didn't see her." Basil was shocked to hear this, and he spoke to Dorian with anger in his voice. "You went to the theatre? You haven't got a heart," he said. "Don't you have any emotions? Sybil was your fiancée, and she only died the day before yesterday." "Yesterday was yesterday," said Dorian. "It's very sad that Sybil is dead, but I can't change it. I won't think of her again. I'm young and handsome, and I want to enjoy my life. I must move on and think about the future." Dorian's words made Basil very unhappy, and he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Dorian, I want to see my portrait of you. It's in the next room, isn't it?" He started to walk towards the study, but Dorian stopped him. "No, Basil, you can't see it," he said. "There's going to be an exhibition of my pictures in Paris, and I want to take your portrait there," Basil said. "It's my best work. Why can't I see it now?" "I'm sorry, Basil, but you can't take the portrait," Dorian said firmly. "It mustn't leave this house. You gave it to me, and it must stay with me." Basil was confused. "I don't understand," he said. "Everyone will admire it, and you, at the exhibition. Don't you want that?" "I can't explain it to you, but that's my decision," Dorian answered. "The portrait is mine, and no one will ever see it again." Basil didn't answer. He didn't want to fight with his friend. "Dorian is behaving very strangely," he thought. "Maybe it's because of Sybil's death. I'm sure he'll change his mind soon." After Basil left, Dorian was very nervous. "I must hide the portrait," he thought. "If I don't, someone will see it one day. I'll hide the picture upstairs in my old study. Nobody ever goes in there." Dorian called his servant. "Please bring me the key to my old study," he said. "But, sir," the servant responded, "it's very dirty in there and there's no light. Please let me clean it first." "No, give me the key now," Dorian said. "It's important, and I don't want to wait." The servant couldn't say no to his master. He gave Dorian the key and left the room. Dorian went upstairs to his study. The servant was right, it was very dirty, but it was a perfect place to keep the portrait. Now he needed 2 strong men to carry the picture upstairs. "I can't use my servants," he thought. "They're too curious and they'll want to know why I'm moving the portrait." 2 workmen were arriving at the house with wood for the fires. Dorian saw them and called to them. "Finish carrying the wood into the house, and then please come and do something for me." "All right, sir," one of the workmen said. At that moment, Dorian's servant came into the room with a tray of tea for his master. He looked at Dorian suspiciously. Then he put the tray on a small table. "Why is he looking at me like that?" thought Dorian. "Does he suspect something? He mustn't see the men carrying the portrait to my study. I'll write a note to Henry, and he can take it. Then he won't be here when they move the portrait." Dorian wrote a note to Lord Henry and gave it to his servant, together with a book for his friend. "Please take these to Lord Henry's house and wait for an answer," he said. 10 minutes later, the workmen came into the room. Very carefully, they carried the heavy picture upstairs to Dorian's old study. "Thank you very much," Dorian said when the picture was in the study. "Here's some money. You can go now." The workmen left. Dorian locked the door and put the key in his pocket. "Finally, I feel safe," he thought. "I'll keep this key in a special place, and nobody will ever see the portrait again, except me."